Hi, I'm Steve Mitchell, aka The Michelli from themichelli.com, and in this episode I'm going to share with you the 10 key things I learned from being vegan for 6 months. If you're new to the channel, I used to be a style blogger until I got old and out of shape and kind of lost my style, so I'm trying to get it back and I'm documenting my progress with experiments on style and fitness and lifestyle and health, fasting, all that type of stuff. So if you're interested in that, please click subscribe, it really helps the channel out, and if you like this video, click like. Without further ado, let's get into it. So number one, my old meat-filled habits made snacking really difficult. So my old diet was full of convenience food. I didn't realise just how much convenience food I ate, but I would pop out for lunch and I would get a McDonald's, or I would get something, a sandwich from my local grocery store or delicatessen or whatever. And there was animal products in everything. Wherever you go, it was really difficult to snack in the same way. And even when I tried to be healthy and, go to the supermarket and buy a bag of carrot sticks and a pot of hummus, you're talking 1,000 calories in a pot of hummus, and I would just spoon that in without realizing until I started piling on pounds from that and all the other nuts I would eat, because I thought snacking on nuts, that's really healthy, right? And actually there's a lot of fat in nuts and a lot of calories. So you have to really change your snacking game and actually try not to snack and eat properly. That's what it's all about, right? Being healthy. Number two, there are loads of different factions in being vegan. Now, I tried being vegan for health reasons. I lost my dad at Christmas, and all the research that I was doing was saying that a plant-based whole food diet is the healthiest way to go. So that's why I've done this for 6 months. How will I survive and thrive on a plant-based whole food diet? But there are ethical vegans, there are militant vegans who will try and convince you that veganism is the way to go. There are the kind of hippie, just be kind to everybody and we can all get along type vegans. There's so many different types of vegans. There are junk food vegans, right? They don't need to eat any animal products, and yet they can thrive, not thrive, but they can definitely survive on potato chips and Oreos and Diet Coke. So there are lots of different factions and they don't all understand each other. I remember having conversations with some of my colleagues who I find out who was vegan, and you kind of find out who's in what faction really quickly. In fact, it's surprising how much you talk about being a vegan to everybody, but I'll get onto that later. But if you're a vegan for the wrong reasons, those other factions, they'll get on your back. So you've got to be careful. Choose your faction wisely. Number three, even being vegan for a very short time can have a dramatic impact on your health. So not long into being vegan, in January, my youngest son, broke his arm, had to take him to hospital, picked up bugs, and unfortunately it hit me quite hard, whether it was the change or stress or whatever. So I had to go to the doctor, had all my bloods done, and they highlighted all sorts of inflammation and stuff that I didn't even know you could work out from your full blood test. But I made the unusual request this time of asking for a printout. And if you're interested in the impact of a plant-based whole food diet on your blood work, leave me a comment down below and I'll do another video, or I'll reach out to you some other way. Anyway, I digress. Now, I had this bug for ages, right? So it took me a while to shake it, and it meant that I had to go to the doctors over, many times over this 6-month period of while I was vegan, and I tracked my blood work really closely. Every time I had a blood test, and I had about 4 or 5 blood tests over those 6 months, and my GP could see that something unusual was happening, especially in the early days, because actually a lot of the good work happens really quickly. I'm talking 4 or 5 weeks. Your body gets transformed and it shows up in your blood. So it's pretty amazing the impact that it will have on your, I would say, life expectancy and longevity, and it all shows up in your blood. Number 4, your appetite for vegan knowledge is matched only by your appetite for broccoli and other vegetables. So once you start to get into it, and there's like a whole subculture of research finding, documentaries, YouTube channels. There's just so much information out there that you kind of get sucked into the whole, did you see this post? Have you, there's so much research being done and has been done actually. This research is most of it's not new. There's been decades old studies, but people are finding them and circulating them. So you get into consuming everything on YouTube, everything on Netflix, everything on Amazon Prime or any other media streaming. I'm not sponsored by any of those. I'm just, these are the ones that I have access to. But you look for as much information. You become a research sponge. It's all interesting stuff. Number 5, you become obsessed with food labels. Now, I found myself really trying hard to find the best ingredients and on the best quality components for my food, and actually I tried not to have anything bought. I tried to do the whole plant-based whole food to an extreme and have everything made, but of course I'd have to go out and buy stuff from time to time, and I would be reading labels and I'd go, oh, something with 20 syllables in I can't pronounce and have never heard of, what's in that? And then I'd go away and refer to my previous point. You do research, you find out it's based on cockroach legs or something, it's a food coloring that doesn't need to be there. Weird. Anyway, you find yourself finding out more and more and more and more and reading and understanding food labels, which can only be a good thing. So even if you only try this for a short time, that food label bug will probably get you at some point. It's quite interesting. Number 6, being on a vegan diet doesn't mean to say necessarily it's a healthy diet. No matter what your vegan friends will tell you, like I mentioned before with the factions, there will be people that will sustain themselves on processed vegan foods, that are selling to that whole vegan market, that you can have your vegan sausages and your vegan burgers if you want it. But who should be eating processed food like that? Who really knows how it's manufactured or what goes into it? Fair enough, there won't be any animal products in it, but certainly eating burgers or fake chicken nuggets every day, it's not going to be the healthiest way. And like I said, you could survive on potato chips and Oreos and diet soda or full calorie soda and still having a vegan lifestyle. So ethically you're fine, but you've actually got to do the balance and say, right, what's healthy for my body? Not all vegan diets are created equally, so you've got to be careful of that. Number 7, choosing a vegan diet does not mean that you are going to lose loads of weight and become stick thin. To the contrary, I actually put on 8 pounds over the 6 months that I went vegan, which surprised the hell out of me. How can eating mostly plants make you fatter? And I think a lot of that came down to the fact that I was snacking still, and I was snacking on nuts to make sure that I was getting enough calories in, or enough nutrition in. I was following a great app by Dr. Greger called Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, and actually, you've got to have 3 portions of beans a day, right? So if you can fit in all the food that he says, let me know, because I struggled, right? I could have 2 portions of beans a day, beans on toast for breakfast and maybe a bean chili in the evening, and I would have something else for lunch. 3 portions of beans a day is tough, but there's all sorts of everything else in that, and you find yourself eating a lot to make sure that you are getting the right nutrition and getting enough calories in. And balancing it is tricky, and I had a lot of clearly high calorie foods, lots of beans and pulses and nuts and maybe a bit too much olive oil, who knows, but it doesn't have to mean I was going to end up stick thin. I didn't. I put on weight. Number 8. Well, before I get on to number 8, you might notice a slight continuity error. If I'm looking different from the point 7 and before, it's because I was filming this last night, ran out of battery on my camera, schoolboy error, I'm sorry. And I didn't have enough time to charge it before I had to go out for the evening, for an evening meal. So I'm back fresh in the morning. The light through the blinds might look different as well. I digress. Number 8, in the 6 months I was on the vegan diet, the whole vegan movement seemed to go from for the weird people to mainstream. It's now everywhere. Even this very week, Kentucky Fried Chicken have announced that they're doing a meat-free chicken sandwich meal thing. Last night we went to my local steakhouse. I know it sounds weird. They cater fully for non-meat eating participants, patrons, whatever. And it seems to be, over the last 6 months, vegan options are sprouting everywhere. Sprouting, it's not meant to be a pun, but they're coming everywhere. You know, there's so many more vegan choices. And I'm pretty sure that if you speak to many people in the whole plant-based, whole food diet movement that have been doing it for 10 years, they'll say, oh, it's always been there, you just need to know where to find it. And that may well be true, but from what I can see, it is a movement that is gaining momentum and more people are adopting it, and you're seeing vegan options on most menus somewhere. Number 9. So I never lost my cravings for my old bad habit foods. I love burgers and pizzas with cheese on, and I love milkshakes, and I love, you know, sausages and bacon and steak and all sorts of meat-filled, animal-filled products. I love eggs, all sorts of stuff like that, and I never lost my cravings for them. Yeah. I know many people say, yeah, you just got to get used to it, but I really believe giving a diet 6 months, your taste buds should be able to adapt, and mine never did. I really miss and do you know what? It's weird. It's the specific flavors and textures of these products that are so addictive, and probably the high fat content, and with many of the processed foods, the high sugar and salt content that's pumped into them. But they are addictive foods and they taste amazing, and I never lost that. But when I was offered a choice between something from my old lifestyle and the vegan lifestyle, and I chose vegan, I felt a great sense of accomplishment because I knew I really wanted that, but I chose what I deemed to be the healthiest option. So I was doing the best for my health and longevity and overall well-being. And it made me feel really good. It made me feel really good. Number 10. So this is the one that surprised me the most, but it shouldn't, right? Vegan food is some of the tastiest food around. If you have a favorite style of cooking, there'll be vegan food for it. And you've got to think, right? All of the great tasting vegetables and herbs and spices and things that give many of your favorite dishes flavor, they're all vegan, you know, they're all plant-based, all herbs and spices. So you get those, you can add those to any dish, and you can make anything taste absolutely fantastic, especially when you're chowing down on some real fresh vegetables or beans or pulses or whatever, and it's got that familiar flavor. You know, 5-bean chili was one of my favorite dishes, and almost indistinguishable from a meat chili if it's prepared well. And so you don't have to adopt a lifestyle like this and give up on the flavors. The flavors can be amazing. So what's next? Well, I certainly feel much better for being vegan for 6 months, and I've learned a lot. But I'm not going to adopt the vegan lifestyle forever. I think I'm going to try and adopt a more Mediterranean diet where I might eat animal products only on 1 day a week or 2 days a week at most, just so I get a healthy balance. And I know many people say, well, you know, and I have read the arguments and I do believe the arguments that it's healthy, but I miss the experience of eating out and food. You know, I love my food, and I love eating out with friends, and I love the fact that I can experience all different types of cuisines, whether they've got meat in or whether they haven't. So I want to keep that element of my life. I want to keep that, but I'm going to pay for that by 5 or 6 days of vegan eating during the week, right? So as long as during the week I'm predominantly meat-free, animal product-free, and then when I've got a reason to go out for an occasion, then I have animal products then and then only, I feel like I'm doing my bit for my health and doing my bit for the environment, and, you know, supporting those ethical arguments, but I still get to enjoy a little bit of what I like. Right, if you enjoyed this video, please like it. It really helps out the channel. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do. Click the little notifications icon and you'll be told every time I produce videos, which in recent weeks has been a little bit sporadic, but I've got far more motivation to get back into this now. And all of your likes and subscribes and comments help me with this. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.